Well, I forgot to ask what Linda was doing.
They were
Always nice to see you.
getting close to sitting down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And I had to tell them I can't stay
Good
there.
afternoon, it is 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And anytime you get a moment, you know,
Our October 7th, 6
you
p.m. meeting. At this time, we'll call ourselves to order. And the first item is the consent agenda. Mr. Manager, do you have anything, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just make a few comments regarding your consent agenda. First of all, on your consent agenda, you have the approval and acceptance of minutes of your regular meeting of September 16th and disbursement of fiscal year 2014-15 City Council discretionary funds. Your second item on your consent agenda is the award of the contract of a four-wheel rubber tire loader for the Engineering Department Street Division. The low bid was $149,895, and there's sufficient funds in the budget to cover that. Your third item is the approval of a bid to purchase city-owned property. This means a citizen is buying property the city currently owns, located at 106 North Johnson Street and 805 Morgan Street. The bid for that small tract is $1,800, and that tract is 0.167 acres. Mr. Mayor, that be for your consent agenda, and that also takes a very small parcel off the tax books and puts that very small parcel back on the tax books. Thank
Motion to
you.
approve. Second.
All right, is this for consent agenda you approve? Okay, I have a motion to approve consent agenda. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Consent agenda approved. Regular agenda, item 4, update on repairs to existing Winchester facilities. Who's handling that?
Mayor, this was a request from the Facilities Committee. We'd like an update on the repairs on the existing facility in the Winchester area. And also, we'd like to have an overview of the current recreational facilities programs in our rec centers. If you could
Okay.
do that, Mr. Bourne?
Okay,
Mr. Brown.
I sure will. I think that takes care of 4 and 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. Okay, at a council meeting, the 200,000 was, I guess, moved to go towards updating and repairs at the Winchester Center. Since that time, staff has done an on-site walkthrough, and first of all, no monies have been expended yet at that amount. But we have gone through with staff, the director and Tanya and Eric and myself, to kind of assess the facility and just get a feel for what's there, what could be done. And we've developed kind of a list. And some of these needs are staff and some come from the community. First of all, the Bazemore meeting room, upgrade the computers in the lab. There are currently 6, and there is public Wi-Fi access. And to add a built-in desk. That comes from both staff and community. Upgrade the current projector screen to an automated screen and add a mounted projector. That is something the staff is discussing with regard to showing movies at the center for the kids. They currently do that on a, I guess, outdated kind of projector. Relocate the center supervisor's office to the ceramic room to free up more space in the game room. Now, this is the staff kind of addressing a community request to add more games, make more room in there. Add 2 additional game tables. Currently, there is a pool table, and that comes from the community, which relates to the previous point. And replace the stove and the refrigerator in the kitchen. They're somewhat dated and need replacing. That's a staff request. The gym. Replace the check-in counter at the front with one that would be more functional and aesthetic. If you've been in, you know that it's kind of outdated, so that would be an update. That's from staff. Replace interior doors, that's a staff. Replace current windows in the lobby with fixed storefront windows to match other windows that were replaced in the gym during the last renovation. That is a staff observation. Renovate women's old locker rooms into a fitness weight room. That comes from the staff and the community. And I'll get into the weight room a little later. Resurface the parking area across the street and add a walking track around the perimeter. That comes from the community. Replace basketball goals with adjustable goals to better accommodate all age groups. That's similar to what we have in other facilities, and that would just update the gym, which is well used during free play and basketball times. So those are what we have now. Now what we're looking at doing is taking this list, comparing it to what the committee and those members came up with the community. And currently the center supervisor is working on reaching out to the community, to those who don't necessarily use the facility now, just to get input as to what could get them to come there. What would they like to see? And hopefully we'll merge all of that together and present to you at a later date with some sort of plan as to how we could go about spending or improving that $200,000. And just a quick snapshot of the surveys. There's been 19 that have been out. Now this is taking a little time because they're actually going out into the community, as well as surveying current users of the facility. 12 list weightlifting and a fitness room out of the 19. So that relates directly to one of the points previously. 9 list some type of basketball activity, pickup games, tournaments, midnight basketball. 7 list boxing, and that must have been a program sometime in the past. And the 19 are current users, and they come to play basketball. The 19 that are here, we know that. Except there's one female. So you have 18 males and one female that have participated in this survey. But like I said, we're reaching out. We want to get a little more input. Let's see. And
Well, the people that you said that wanted basketball, are those the 19 or the 18 that already used the basketball course, or are these different?
There are 9 that listed some basketball activity, and all the 19 are current users.
Okay.
But y'all branching out in the community, asking.
But
the
we
other
are
community.
going out to try to get input from those. Why are you not using? What could we do to get you to use the facility to supplement the information we already have?
Are they going door to door? How are they disseminating the surveys?
They're going door to door currently to get input. And current, I guess, program attendance or use, I'm kind of going into number 5 now, I guess, the program updates. Winchester Center programs, we track usage at all the centers. And we've tweaked that over the years. And right now, we're trying to get where there's no duplication. We're doing this with the resources we currently have, the staff we currently have. We don't have a card to swipe or anything like that at none of the rec centers to track that like we do
You're
at
doing
the
a
aquatic
business
center.
estimate.
So we're doing, well, they have to sign in, or we get strange names. You know, Michael Jordan goes to one of our rec centers. But that's okay. I mean, we try to get it accurate and get them to sign, but we do try to do that, and we also track the attendance at programs, the different things we offer. And I have July and August. September numbers are being prepared and totaled right now. So for July, we have movie and snack days. We had an average of 9. We had a Color Me Beautiful, which was a craft session or program. There were 10 in attendance. Potholder class, that was a craft. There were 10 in attendance. We have a annual beach trip. And this is offered to people that use all of the rec centers. It could, all centers, there's room for 45 on the beach trip. It's kind of a reward for participating and those that we have had no discipline problems, so it's used as a kind of incentive. There were 19 out of the 45 that participated in that from Winchester. We had a pool party that was sponsored by Turnaround Toys. There were 27 there.
On the beach trip, let me get back to the beach trip. What did that consist of?
Okay. A bus is chartered to transport. That runs at about $1,000. They go to Huntington Beach State Park, and there's an entry fee per child there. A shelter is rented. They depart at 6:30 in the morning, and they return at 6:30 at night. So it's a full day. We have the shelter. They get to enjoy the beach. They have lunch. They enjoy the beach some more. They have a snack, and then we try to head back home and be home for
So
6:30.
they're basically there 2 hours, because Huntington's about 4 hours.
I-
4 hours away.
I haven't been on it. I don't know the time, but you know, we do have good participation. It's usually full. There is a charge. It's a $10
Yeah,
per
Huntington
child.
State Park is very nice.
That in no way covers all of the cost of that trip. It's more in the form of a commitment. You know, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
A little skin in the game. But it's at the center director, whichever center they're coming from. They know the family, they know the child, and if that child expresses that they can't pay the $10, we do cover that for them.
Do we waive that? Is that a lot or just or do you know?
It all depends on need, the expressed need. I don't have a count as to how much of that we really do.
Okay.
I can look into that and see if we can
No,
pull that out.
that's okay.
In August, we had a ping pong challenge. There were 6 that participated in that. 3-on-3 basketball tournament, there were 12. Back to school party, there was no charge for this. There was 3. Movie snack day, there was 8. Midnight basketball, and this is for teens only. That was 38 participants. And an Emerald Point trip, and this is a trip that's for all ages, parents, children, and there were 24 on that trip.
Is that's they leave in the morning?
Yeah, that's an
And then-
all-day, that's a day thing.
Well, one thing that I,
The beach trip to Huntington Beach, that's been going on
long time.
for a long time.
And that's parents and kids as well.
No, that's just children.
Okay.
Like I said, that's kind of an incentive and award for being a good participant in the programs.
One thing that I was talking to some staff with the Parks and Rec, one of the things that possibly is that this information is not getting out to the kids like we thought it was. Because they send it home in the book bags, but not everybody checks the book bags. So I think this going door to door will help a lot, maybe to get more kids involved.
That takes manpower and time,
I know, honey.
and we're all short on that. But this is given to all elementary schools in the city and to Monroe Middle School. It's sent through the school system. Now, previously, this was all printed in the newspaper.
Yes, I know.
It reached even less there. So every child is getting it.
Yes.
The high school kids don't get it.
No.
Let me ask you a question about getting some more computers and then the built-in desk and another game table. Okay. What size is that room? How much space is going to be left when you put that in there? You can actually accommodate bodies.
That's a little beyond where we're at now. Once we kind of come up with a program that we can all agree on, I would try to get an architect to come and help with some of that configuration and sizing. We do know that the back area where they were talking about the weight room, there's adequate space there. You have the women's and the men's used to be locker rooms, and we're talking about doing this in the women's side. So there'd be more than enough there.
So that's gonna be done in Winchester Gym?
Right.
Okay.
That would be one of the possibilities for the gym. We also, there's also trips that are taken to Carowinds. These are NCRPA gives us a discounted rate on tickets. So we buy them on consignment. Whatever we don't sell at the discount, we give back and get the refund. But we use the senior bus on that trip. It would accommodate about 24 kids to take them to Carowinds. So we're limited in the transportation. The 24 seats were not filled, but if we do fill, we can. We have other buses that we might be able to tap into if they're not used for other facilities, so that we can bring more children out there.
So do you think it's the advertisement, that we're not advertising, that we're not getting the kids? Or?
Staff works really hard on trying to get the word out. These are at centers. They've started putting them in pediatrician offices if they run into them in their distribution. Any suggestions you have, but we're limited in funding and limited in manpower.
I do have one question.
We're working.
Is there a way we could condense this and maybe put it in with the utilities, check on the cost of it? I'm just asking.
That's a possibility. If it increases the weight, because we have a limit,
Yeah.
that could increase the postage by $4,000.
Yeah, there was a way we could condense it. Maybe if we just do like what's meeting this month for each, within that month period.
That also depends on what's scheduled to go in that bill.
And
But yeah, that's something we could look at.
When we do these neighborhood walks, it'd be a good thing to have everybody have a handful and put them indoors too as we do these walks and get out there and make sure that we advertise. I think that's something that we need to really work on, is making sure that everybody is aware of it. Maybe getting with the schools again to also letting them know.
And the way we track, we try to track usage of the centers, all of them, as best we can. And that's broken down on a monthly basis. We have a monthly count that's totaled, but the number that really means something is the daily average use in there, because some days we might have more than others. There might be an event going on. So the daily average is what typically, we kind of look at a little more closely.
What about tutoring and homework and that sort of thing? How are we handling that? I know that we have some programs here. It says tutoring, homework helpers. How does that work?
That's homework assistance, and homework assistance. We start 2:30, 3 o'clock. It's typically the time at all of our centers for the most part. Now remember, we have drop-in centers, so they come. They walk in, or they're brought by parents or guardians or whatever. So they come and go.
Who actually assists the children with homework?
That is done. We're limited by staff's ability to help, and volunteers that help with the homework, that assist with homework. And that includes Wi-Fi access if they want to research or read. It all depends on their needs. I can tell you that participation is low in that area. I do have, at Winchester on a day, we might average 3 to 5. Now, in other centers, I know Sutton Park, they average 12 to 15.
The Armory has
And J. Ray Chute has 10 to 20.
These are elementary kids?
Yes, elementary kids. And, you know, we tried different programs to entice them at Winchester, and Xbox was purchased as kind of a fun activity. Maybe after that to do an organized activity, or after the homework, they go to, you know, the gym opens at 4:30 for the teenagers, but they can go and sit in and do homework. Then after 5, it's, you know, they can, there's free play or pool table, the gym, basketball, whatever. And that's when typically the numbers kind of explode. At Sutton Park, they've come up with a little, I guess, a gimmick, you know, Fantastic Fridays. Those that participate in the homework assistance kind of get rewarded. They get a little something extra, like a pizza party or something, to encourage that behavior, promote that behavior. So there's different things different centers do. It depends on the center, the community, the kids that they're working with. So they're all different.
I know, excuse me, Sutton Park has a center council now that they have youth involved.
Yes.
And that center director has started that.
Yes.
The Armory has the Y.
Mhm. Yeah, the Armory has a big benefit with the WISE program there. If they can find the funding, we certainly have another place for them, and that would definitely be in the Winchester. That's been mentioned to them several times prior at all of their meetings. I know Tanya attends those meetings, and she's been pushing for that for a few years, but it all depends on funding. I think the program like that, it would be $130,000, $100-something thousand. I'm not sure of the number, but that's what it would cost to have a program like that. We wanted to pick up it's been offered. Well, if the city wants to pick it up, but we just can't.
Well, it says here about computers. I don't know if that's just Sutton Park. It says computers are available daily for job searches, college applications, interactive educational games to improve skills in reading, writing, and math. Computers are available for adult use before 3. How many computers are they used?
Well, let's see, they are used. It just depends on the day. Now, the usage, I mean, I don't have that track.
Aren't our computers a little outdated? That they were. I think we were supposed to replace them, but they got cut from the budget.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I
There were
thought.
computers for all the centers, updates proposed.
Because the
but
computers
that-
are so old that we have. I think they were refurbished ones almost, were they not?
They were from the game.
When the gaming room.
Yeah, we took them out of the sweepstake parlor places.
Repurposed them.
Yeah, when we raided those, we took their computers.
So they're not up-to-date computers. And I know that they were in the budget and it was cut. Okay.
What is the cost for a computer now? I mean, for what you use there?
Bruce, what would be a price for a typical computer?
We would need at least $700. That's without Microsoft Office.
But would there not be a need for Microsoft Office for some of these kids?
In the past, we've used Open Office.
Okay,
Freeware.
okay.
How many computers? Are you talking about all of them in the centers are out of
Well, what
date?
was proposed in this budget, it was all computers in all centers.
Because they're also outdated.
Well, how many is that talking about now? How many is that?
6% of what we have now, I think.
Six, that's the number.
Because all the centers have Wi-Fi.
Yes,
We just have outdated computers.
right.
And that's, when you talk about that's about Winchester. Over here, you're talking about the Armory?
We're talking about Armory, Sutton Park, Winchester, Dickerson, J. Ray Shute, and 5.
5.
30.
Okay.
Unless you count the senior center, do we
And the
have,
senior center.
That's 6, counting senior center.
6 counting the senior center.
And we have printers accessible that they need to print stuff off. I'm just curious.
I don't recall a printer. I'd have to ask about that. I don't think so.
Okay, I was just curious.
Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
well, I think computers, talking about the computers, I think that maybe we should look at maybe updating the computers in those centers. We're not talking about that many. You're talking about 6 centers, 6 computers apiece. So maybe something that we can look at, see if we have funds that we can do that with.
We put that on another meeting or 4 o'clock meeting or discuss it whenever you want to.
Well, that can be part of what you're gonna come up with
Yeah,
and see,
that's what
we'll
he-
see how much we have.
200.
Well, yeah, to see, you know, we've got that, let's spend that, you know, that's what we've allocated, and then let's see what we got left.
For all seniors.
Well, let's look at that, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions of Brian, comments? Here none, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Time we have a public comments period, I do have some people signed up, and I'll take them as you sign. I have a Ms. Hatch, is that correct? From 738 J. Boyd Street, we'll recognize you at this time, ma'am. If you'll come to the podium. Come to the podium, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor. Yes, I'm Earlene Baskin Hatch, sometimes Herman. Yes, I am matriculating into Union County, North Carolina. I've been in Marion, Ohio for 37 years, but I come home twice a year ever since I left in 1951. But anyway, in my public comment, but one thing I did want to get right quick. How many centers do we have? You said 6, and you said one on Dickerson and Ratio Senior Center, Winchester. What were the other?
Sutton Park and the
What?
Sutton Park and the Old Armory.
Sutton Park. And what's the other one?
The Old Armory.
Old Armory.
It's over on Johnson Street.
Old Armory on Johnson Street.
He's got a packet for you.
Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you so much. I was gonna try to ask for that. Okay, and I wanted to ask, do we have a Boys and Girls Club in Monroe?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I know we got some good news clubs. Some little children told me today, we got good news clubs in our school. I said, hallelujah. Okay, let me see. My comment, my question was, some years ago, and it must have been a couple of years before Council Lady Duncan came here as Chief of Police, that the Winchester, Miss Honey and her group and the LaSalle group met together concerning some funds that were supposed to come to that area. And I'm wondering if that $200,000 come out from that situation some years ago before you came. And I remember they had meetings and prayer sessions in about 6 areas, praying for a police chief and praying for this little mini mall to become a reality on Winchester. Because apparently, as I came down and kind of kept in touch with Haywood Hilliard and Fulton Hilliard and Orime Levingston Blakeney and Miss Honey and several of the people who were very adamant about a mini mall. Now, I don't know, I can't remember what year that was, but there was a blueprint written up, blueprint drawn up. I don't know where that blueprint is, but I would like to know where it's at and, you know, to take a look at that blueprint, and also what it contained in the mini mall had been suggested and laid out, that they would have a laundromat, a small grocery store, an all-purpose community room where senior citizens could quilt and kibitz and have all kind of little things going on, and also could be used for dance or expressional arts for young people in that Winchester area, plays and competitive programs like spelling bees and SAN situation. It was all laid out with programming, and this was discussed. And on the, in front of that little red church, St. James, on Winchester, going east, there was to be a house that the city gave to Winchester, and that house was supposed to contain archive of black history, black African American history from Monroe. Now, Katrina came along, and some people came here, and they needed housing, so they used that house to house the Katrina victims. And they said as soon as they got settled down and everything, that those people move out of that house, that they were going to move that house over there, and it would be available for the Winchester community, and all blacks and Africans and Europeans and whoever had some history could set up that house for the archives of the black African Americans here. And I want to know what happened to the house.
There was an unfortunate accident and the house caught fire one night, so the house was burned beyond repair, so the house has been burned.
Did anybody try to find another one to
That we have not done that.
replace that?
We have not done that, no.
Okay, well, that takes care of that. So you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're
Oh,
talking
bless you.
Very well.
So the house burned down, so we don't have, so anyway, that's what I was asking. And the last thing is that $200,000, is that the amount that was appropriated to expedite this mini mall? Is that what that money was appropriated for?
It was 300,000. That particular committee met, I think it was 2004, and it did consist of some people who lived in the community. I think mayor, and I know I served on that. And it was a blueprint drawn to develop the south side of Winchester.
I don't know about the blueprint. We have the,
They actually printed a book.
he may have it right there.
There's your copy.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, the blueprint was, the little mini mall was laid out and everything. Okay, thank you so much. I'll look through this stuff, but those were my questions. I wanted clarification and verification and amplification to know what happened to it. You know, it got lost in the shuffle. But anyway, most of those people that were battling out there and was close to the finish have died. So I'm still living. I almost died.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me again. That was Teresa, is it Inman, Eastman, Inman?
Yeah, that's right. You guys.
Good.
It's the 5 hardest letters in the alphabet to pronounce together. It's Eamon. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys a little bit. Many of you know me. I live on Everett Street in the historic district. We walked together a couple months ago. And I want to say a couple of things because I've spent a lot of time watching. I've been here for a year and a half. And before I came to talk, I wanted to kind of look around. And I want to give you a little bit of perspective about where I come from. I came from Idaho Falls, Idaho. And Idaho was entered into statehood in 1890. So those of you that know your history, the city of Monroe had already been a city for 50 years. So the history in Idaho is not much. So I was very excited when I came here because I was going to get to live in a city that had some pretty rich history. And I looked around and I saw the houses and I loved everything that was about this city. I've never had a big desire to live in a big city. I like small cities. I like history. And if Monroe has nothing else, it has history and some really great houses. But in the last month, I'm starting to see a lot of houses go up for sale in the historic district, and I'm concerned with it. Because normally it's not an issue, but it seems to be that many of these houses are becoming rentals because of what is already there. And let me just say, I have nothing against landlords. I have everything against slumlords. And I'm very concerned that a lot of the out-of-state landlords are not caring for their properties, and it's creating an impression outside of the historic district that's not really good, because I'm kind of a salesman, and so when people say, hey, I'm looking for a home, I'm like, hey, why don't you look at the houses in the historic district? I have one, it's beautiful, and they look at me like I have asked to cut off their foot, that there is no chance that they're going to want to move into the historic district. And that hurts my heart for several reasons, my love for history, and on the other thing is I want to see Monroe be something great. And my thought is that if these historic district homes are cared for, they're going to have greater value, which is going to result in a greater tax value, which means more money that comes back into the city. And projects like buying more computers for the youth that live in Monroe aren't going to be a, oh my gosh, can we afford them or do we have to refurbish something? Because you have a better tax increase. And so if these houses become rentals, I think they're diametrically opposed to one another, because if you're not caring for the property, you're not caring for the property as you should, and these historic homes require that they be maintained. You can't let it go. And if you have renters in there who don't care about Monroe, who don't care about where they live, they're not going to maintain these homes, and these homes are going to become something that the renter or the landlord can't maintain, and they become more and more in disrepair. And I see way too many of them as I'm walking down the street falling into more and more disrepair, and people that live in the homes becoming more and more discouraged about looking at them. Now, I know you guys all drove through or walked through the district, and they did a really big cleanup right before you came, I'm sorry to say. I would encourage you to get in your cars unannounced and drive down the streets again. Not just Hanan Church, which have the nicest houses, I have to admit, but the other streets as well. Because there you're going to see trash that's not picked up. On Everett Street, we have trash that has been sitting out for 2 weeks because people aren't putting the trash out properly. So Waste Pro's not picking it up. It's drawing rodents, it's drawing bugs, and it looks like crap. You guys are about to you're spending $1.5 million on a theater, and as a performer, I'm really happy about that. But what do people who are thinking about putting a business downtown going to think about their potential customers when they drive through the historic district, which is the closest area around that development? Is that what are they going to want to put a business downtown if that's what they see? It's off-putting. So I understand that in 2015 budget is going to increase so that code enforcement can increase their watch around the city. I hope that the city council will encourage that, because all of the other planning that goes on comes to nothing if we can't take care of the heart of our city. And the heart of our city is the historic district. And I love it. And I want to see the theater successful. And I want to see the historic district turn into what Charlotte was able to do. And dang it, if Charlotte can do it, we certainly can do it as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll have that Everett Street checked tomorrow for that.
I'm checking it next week.
I'm sorry.
So check it next week and the next week too.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry, I'll call.
I bet you got it on speed dial.
I believe we have one other lady, I have one other lady to speak. Did you want to address the council?
Yes, I do.
If you will, come to the podium and give your name and address, please.
All right. Good evening. How's everyone?
Good evening.
My name is Susan Wheeler. I am a property owner and a taxpayer. I have some packet here that I've prepared for you to look over. The reason that I am here is because I have some backyard chickens.
Oh.
And I assume that would be a topic that you have heard about before. I have some photos for you. How I maintain my chickens and reasons as to why I would like to keep them.
Oh, you have chickens. Oh, okay.
I do reside at 506 Huntley Street, which is in the city limits. And prior to getting my chickens, I did go to the website, looked at the ordinances, and to my knowledge, I did not see any reason that I could not have my chickens. You will see at the very top, I've given you reasons as to why I feel that I would like to appeal to our city council to go ahead and amend this. You will see here that the cities in topic number 1, the cities such as Charlotte, Pineville, Mint Hill do allow backyard chickens. Their ordinances require that the chickens are to be a minimum of 25 feet from the property line. My chicken coop does comply with those ordinances mentioned in those cities. My chickens are maintained on a daily basis in a clean environment. They are behind a double fence, and you will see that in the photos. I do not let my chickens run. I understand that the council had in the past, or actually, I guess it is the animal control had an issue with some loose chickens, and I understand why they would feel that way. But in my situation, my chickens are not loose. I care about what my property looks like. I maintain my property. I'm a taxpayer. I reside within the city limits. Also, we chose not to get a rooster, and the reason being is because in talking to my neighbors and also just the sheer fact about not creating an issue with my neighbors, I don't want to wake up to hear a rooster in the morning, and I'm sure they don't either. So that was a concern to me. So my thought was, okay, it looks like we can have chickens. I'll go ahead and get some. It'll provide something good for my family to eat. And you will also see on item number 4, I have a grandson. He is a special needs child. He has extreme food allergies. He does not eat meat. He doesn't like meat, but he loves eggs. So I provide eggs for my daughter, her husband, and my grandson, as well as for my husband and I. This way we can control what goes into that chicken's gullet, or whatever you want to call it, and that it is good food and there's no additives or anything. And I feel that I, as a consumer, I'm interested, and we want to maintain that we have the best food available, and I feel that you would feel the same way with your family. You want the best food available that you can feed your family so that they will do well, and especially my grandson. He is 5. He currently goes to Walter Bickett, and he has been special needs ever since he was born. I am a taxpayer, as I said. I am also aware that other property owners do feel the same way as what I do. They would like to continue to maintain their chickens. And you will see the next page over. I have gone to my neighbors, my immediate neighbors, asked them if they would have any issues with this, with me having chickens, where I could go ahead and continue to maintain my chickens, and they did go ahead and sign that document. I also included some photos, and you'll see the photos of what my chicken coop looks like. We chose to go ahead and not just get just a particular shanty to put, in my backyard, because I care about what it looks like. We painted it just like our house. I maintain my chickens just like I would my children. I take care of them. It's in a clean environment. I have no problems with insects such as fleas or flies that I've been told that sometimes they do attract. I make sure that they're always in at night. I let them out in the morning in their run. They produce the eggs that we need, and we go on. Did you all have any questions?
No, ma'am, it's only on this, on the public comment, we don't want to discuss it, but, I want the council to hear, you've heard your story.
Okay.
I must say that your chicken houses are cleaner than a lot of other houses that I've seen, so. And I don't know whether there's something that we can do or something that we should do. We do have an ordinance, but I think that we should have the staff maybe look at it to see, just to evaluate, bring it, to see if there's anything that we can do or any options that we can have.
No, we don't have a rooster. And that's the reason why I'm here, is I understand why you don't want chickens. I know that. And I don't want a chicken house in the back of my house either. But there's a purpose for mine, and I'm here to go ahead and see if we can amend your ordinance so that people like, such as myself, continue, with keeping our chickens and be good homeowners. And I'm interested in going ahead and abiding by your rules and that. But I would like to plead to you all and to see if you can perhaps help me to be able to do this and amend that ordinance so that, just not me, there is many people within the city of Monroe that we could continue doing as we're doing.
Well, we'll look at it. I don't think we can do anything, but we can look at it.
I thought the ordinance was, if the chickens were running free, I thought they could be contained.
I'm not familiar with that part of the ordinance. We'd have to take a look at
I
it.
know the ones running free are an issue.
But mine are contained.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think it's a property line thing.
Yeah.
It's a property.
Position to speak on Susan's behalf, also her neighbor.
Sure.
She's
Mayor, what I
also a
would
neighbor.
suggest is that perhaps you let that be the next speaker in your,
Okay.
but if she is finished, and
I am
what I
finished.
can, but the issue would be, though, from a staff perspective, I'll defer the manager on this, would be if this is a consensus of council for staff to explore this, we'll be happy to, but we
I know
wanted to make
technically-
sure that because if this requires an amendment to our UDO, that's not we come back to the next meeting with that. That's going to be a process that will go through public hearing process and go through your committees. But we just want to, before we ask staff to undertake that, we just want to ensure that that is a consensus of council. If it is not, we're happy to discuss the issue further.
Well, I know that technically we're not supposed to speak during public comment. We're supposed to take its information. We're not supposed to talk.
That ship sailed long ago or this evening, so.
Yeah, that should have
We
been said
have
a while
a-
back. Reminded us a while back.
Do we have a consensus of the council for the staff to look into this? If you would, raise your hands. Would y'all hold up?
Yeah.
2, 3?
That's
Mr.
fine.
Jordan, I think.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
5, 4. Okay, there's a consensus there, and the staff will look into it. If you want to speak,
May I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I was visited by the animal control, and at that time, they told me that I would have a certain number of days in order to get rid of my chickens.
Well,
And in that situation, because of what you just
We'll
told
give
me-
you a stay.
Okay, thank you, that's all I needed. Thank you
You
very
like to
much for
speak?
your time.
Just for a few minutes.
if you name and address, if you
Brian?
would, 3 minutes or under, please.
That's fine, that's fine. My name is Marcy Crinzen. I live at 600 West End Drive, so I'm in the same neighborhood as Susan. And animal control also came to our house, and we are able to keep our chickens that we enjoy very much, because we have enough feet from the property line, which is a rare thing, but we are on a piece that is a rare big piece. And I have looked extensively into the ordinance, and it seems like the only thing that is prohibiting Susan from having her chickens is the number of feet away from the property line, and then the stipulation that the animals not be at large, which means that they need to stay on her property. And so, we were working together to try to find out, just what nearby areas we're doing, and that's where we came up with the Charlotte and Pineville and Mint Hill with the 25-foot from the property line, and then, went out and measured her property, and it did seem to fit into that. And she has a nice size backyard, and it's an average size backyard. And so I feel like for it to put a number as large as 100 on it, it feels the same as just saying you can't have them at all if you're just in a house with an average size yard in the city of Monroe. And so I feel like if you could, approach it from a standpoint of just having a reasonable amount of space in between the property lines, and in her case, her neighbors are, in agreement to her having them anyways. For me, I know that I would feel the same way as she did if I didn't have enough property. And so, for me, I'm here on her behalf too, because it's not just about her, but it's about all of us having the freedom to do that if we want to, and to do it responsibly, like she was saying.
Well, we're going to look at it. The police chief is here, and he'll take care of animal control, so we'll look at it.
Thank you
Mayor,
very much.
I can go ahead and note that we did take a look. It is an animal control issue. It is not a zoning issue. And the 100 feet requirement is what you do have. We are happy to take a look at that, as that is council's consensus in terms of what the other cities do. And we'll be happy to present that to you at a future meeting, or at least an
Yeah,
update.
I don't have a problem with us looking at that. But the one thing that I would ask the staff to look at is any deed restrictions that might be on that property. A lot of times deed restrictions prohibit certain things on the property as well.
Okay.
We'll keep that in mind.
Anyone else who'd like to address the council? Here none, I have a motion to
adjourn.
have a motion to adjourn, have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Adjourn. Thank you very much.
Leila, do you want your pictures back?